All right, so we are on another episode of Conversations with Strangers, and I am here with
Alexandria Ashley.
All right, Alexandria Ashley. Who are you?
Oh my goodness, that's a loaded question.
It's supposed to be.
I know. Who am I? I'm a number of things. But to start off, I am a Memphis native. Right now, I'm a graduate student at Columbia University's film program. I'm actually about to graduate in a couple months. And I don't know, I'm just trying to kind of find my place in the film industry, and I would consider myself a creative if I had to say anything. Yeah.
Okay.
That's who I
Now, Columbia, I think intelligent, I think creative, I think artistic, I think all these things, like, was like, how do you get to Columbia of all places from Memphis?
So I always wanted to move to New York City when I was a kid. I saw on television like all these shows that I love, like Friends, and these cool group of people who lived in New York City and like had these great lives and great friends, and that's what I wanted like since I was like 5 or 6. And so like my whole life I was like, I'm gonna move to New York and I'm gonna live there and all that. And when I was 18, I moved to New York to go to college at St. John's University. I was actually studying law, and I was planning to go to law school. And after I graduated, instead of taking the LSAT, I ended up deciding I'm gonna try to go to film school because I wanted to see, like, is this like what I definitely want to do? Do I really want to be a lawyer, or is there anything else that I might really care about? And so I was like, okay, what do I love? Like, and I love TV, and I love movies. So I was like, I'm gonna try to go to film school. No experience, and I applied to a bunch of schools, and I applied to like a lot of the top film schools, and I was like, they're never gonna let me in. And I got an email from Columbia, and they wanted to interview me. And I was like, oh my God, you like really want to interview me? I have no experience. So they interviewed me. It went well. Well, it didn't go that well. I was torn up about it when I left because I felt like I screwed it up. But I eventually ended up getting in, and voila.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Now, we are on a film set per se.
Yes.
And without spoiling too much, there is a young girl, there is some shaved eyebrows, and there is a spelling bee. Now, is this based on a true story of some sort?
It is loosely based on myself, my cousin, and my mom. My cousin, she shaved off her eyebrows, like patches of it, when we were in elementary school. We're the same age. So we were in elementary school, she did it. And it was like a big to-do. My uncle called my mom and was like, you have got to come over here and help me figure out like what to do about this. Because it was right before school. So we go over there, and sure enough, her eyebrows were jacked up. And so, it was like all fun and games. It was laughter, but I understood where she was coming from because I was insecure about my eyebrows when I was younger because they were so thick. And then I ended up like trying to tweeze my eyebrows, and I got in big trouble because I didn't learn from her lesson. And it was a story that I always loved and remembered in my childhood. So I decided for my thesis, I was going to write this project and basically see what would happen. I wrote it a year ago. I didn't know it was going to be my thesis, and then I was going to produce another film, and it didn't work out, and so I ended up making this my thesis. And it was just a really personal story, and I really wanted to kind of also show a really good mother-daughter relationship, kind of symbolic of my relationship with my mom. So there's a lot of personal stuff in there for me, but also like a message to girls and women, to stay focused on your goals and your dreams. And people are going to say things to you that are going to deter you. They might be things that cut really deep. They might be things that are very superficial, like your eyebrows. But it doesn't really matter what other people say. Like, you have to follow your passion. And the little girl in my film, her passion is spelling bees, and the eyebrow thing is just a distraction.
Okay. Now, you kind of touched on this, and I wanted to kind of ask this, like, in the film industry, women have predominantly played kind of like a smaller role, and it's been very hard for them to kind of get a chance, get a break. And I know there is some change going on, but like, do you fear that your gender is going to make this path a little bit more difficult?
For me, I think realistically, it would be naive of me to think that it won't affect things, just because I think already there's this way that people will speak to you when you're a woman, or they assume certain things about you, a woman, especially if you're a petite person, or if you look younger, they especially take advantage of that. But I don't really think about it, because then it'll distract me, and I don't really I try not to hold on to that. I'm not so much concerned about my gender as much as I am my race. But when it comes to my gender, it's kind of like, I'm a tough girl. So you could try to make that a thing. Like, I might not get a job because I'm a woman, but it'll be difficult to run over a girl like me, because I'm strong and I stand up for myself. I'm outspoken in a way, but I can stand next to the guys next to me, and I think I can hang. So I'm not too worried about it.
Kind of go back to this law school thing. Like, what type of lawyer did you want to be?
I wanted to do litigation, and I think I was bouncing back and forth between criminal law and entertainment law. I know they're two different things, but a part of me wanted to always kind of have some connection to entertainment, but I also have this, like, I really want to change the world. I really want to make the world a better place, so I wanted to go into criminal law. And I really wanted to be able to do litigation because I was in mock trial when I was in college. And I liked getting up there and, crossing a witness, direct examining a witness and speaking to a jury. I enjoyed, I guess, the performance of it all in a way. And the satisfaction of, like, crossing a witness properly or examining a witness properly. So I really wanted to do litigation, I think, more than anything.
Now, I've heard it said before, like, a lot of film people, like, kind of started somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Like, do you feel this law training kind of helped prepare you for this directing and other stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Particularly, like, the fact that I even thought about going to law school and deciding to be in mock trial changed my life. Like, the way that I converse with people, the way that I handle pressure, because believe it or not, it is one of the most high pressure things I've ever done. Preparing for competition is more intense for me than preparing for a short film, because it's extremely intense, and the hours are just as long. So it really prepared me. It really made me tougher. It helped me control my emotions a lot better, and how to speak well, how to speak in front of a lot of people, how to speak with conviction, how to persuade people, all of that stuff. Like, it really made me tough. It's one of the best experiences. I'll probably write a show about it at some point. But yeah, it definitely helped me for sure.
Are you a competitive person?
I am. I'm a competitive person. Especially if I'm told I can't do something. I'm like, oh, really? I'm going to show you.
It's a lifelong thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe you have at least one sister?
Yes, I have a sister and I have a little brother.
All right. And has it always kind of been a back and
Well,
forth
no, because
battle?
we're all so far apart that it's really been more like, I've kind of taken on a more motherly role. I mean, me and my sister is kind of like, you can't boss me around. So we definitely have a sister balance, but we don't compete with each other. And then my brother, he was born like 4 months ago. So there's no competition. He's my sweetheart.
Right. Now, two front. Mm-hmm. Kevin Smith once said, every filmmaker sees a film and goes, I can do better than that. So what's your film there? And what's your favorite film?
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. A film that I could do better than.
Like, what was the one where you were just like, I know I can do something better than that? Might not be one.
No, because I don't always. I think that when I watch things that would maybe prompt me to think something like that, it's not so much of like, I could do better than that. It's more so like a disappointment in something. Like, I saw Detroit this past summer, and I was immensely disappointed. Was
that the documentary about the riots?
Well, it's not a documentary, but it's a biopic, I guess, in a way, about the riots in Detroit. which isn't a topic that I think we should shy away from necessarily, but I just did not like how it was done. I thought the execution of it just was so disappointing because I felt like, you know, this is just a tragedy that I'm sitting through 2 hours, and it's not, the narrative isn't even strong enough, and it's not even telling the full plot of what happened during those riots. And it was frustrating for me. And I remember I did like a review about it on YouTube, and someone was like, you know, if Ava DuVernay had done this movie, you know, you would never say that. And I was like, Ava DuVernay would never do that movie like that, if she even would have done that movie. And it was very frustrating. And I don't know that I would have made Detroit, but if I were, I definitely wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah. And I think, you used to ask me my favorite film. That's so difficult. But the one that immediately comes to mind, is Training Day. I love that movie. With Denzel Washington, directed by Antoine Fuqua.
I have not seen that. I've heard about it for years.
Oh, incredible. But, no. I love that movie. The acting was incredible. The story was incredible. Everything about it. Like, now at this point, when I watch it, I talk through it because I'm just like, yes, I'm so excited when I see that movie. And I just thought the way that Denzel performed the movie, I just was like blown away. Everybody in that film was incredible. So that's definitely one of my top favorites for sure.
Yeah. What kind of motivates you in life?
I think for me, it's knowing that I have the ability to give something good to the world. I don't always know what it is. I don't always know how I'm gonna get there, but like there's like this thing I have inside where I feel like I'm supposed to do something, and I know there's something special inside, and I can give the world something because I have a lot of passion, and sometimes it can be off-putting, it can be a bit much for people, but I really care about like everything so much, and I know that there is something I can give to the world, and that's what keeps me going. And I know that as I go through life, like I'm gonna put the pieces together. I'm gonna know what it is that I give back, and that's kind of what motivates me, like knowing that I can do something, and I just have to keep working at it.
Now, Memphis native, Elvis and barbecue are kind of the known things. What's something people should know about Memphis, other than those two things?
Other than those two things, they should know about the Civil Rights Museum. It is a very emotional experience for me anyway. I've seen it several times, but I think people should go to the Civil Rights Museum and walk through it and see all the history. And it's not even everything, of course, but there's so much to see in the Civil Rights Museum. And it's like you really are walking through like history for a moment, and to see Dr. King's hotel suite where he was killed and all of that. I think people should definitely know about that. The Stax Museum, because we do have a really rich history of music here. My favorite hot wing place in the city, I love hot wings, and I'm probably like gonna get sick from them, but I love hot wings, and my favorite hot wing place is Ching's Hot Wings on Getwell. It's my favorite. Every time I come home, that's what I get. What else? They should know about my mother. Her name is Reagan Oglesby Phillips, and she owns Ladyfingers Catering Company. She's the best chef in the city, hands down. And it's not just because she's my mom. Like, she can make anything, even if she's never made it before. She can make anything taste good. It doesn't matter what the diet is. She's just incredible, and she has like such a great energy. She's always ready to work. She wants people to be happy. She's hospitable. Like, she is one of the businesswomen in Memphis that like she's worth going to. I know that's like super self-serving, but that's really how I feel. Like if she wasn't my mom, that's how I would feel.
I will testify the food was very, very good for the last 2 days, not gonna lie. We're kind of getting to our time, but I do want to do one thing because you touched on it. Like,
of course.
Growing up as an African American here in Memphis, in the shadow of that history with Martin Luther King being assassinated here, like, do you think that played a part in your life at all? I'm assuming like where I'm from, we went to the history museum because it was nearby. I'm assuming, like, growing up here, they took you on field trips to that museum and whatnot.
Yeah, I never went on a field trip with like my schools, but I did go because I was in other things outside. I was in other programs outside of school, so I went through those programs, and then also independently of that. I think growing up in Memphis, because it's there's a very heavy African American population, I never really felt out of place, but I was always aware. I was aware of things that happened in the civil rights movement, and I was aware of the history, and I knew that racial tension existed, and I knew that things would happen like to people like my uncle, who was of a darker complexion. I knew people would do things, but I never really paid much attention to it because that's just not the world that I grew up in terms of, I wasn't, growing up, like, we were raised to accept everybody. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, and to this day, like, that's how I feel. And I'm protective of any group who feels marginalized. And so but I didn't really I learned that part in the house because it was like everyone deserves to be respected, no matter their color, their gender, or anything like that. But I didn't experience as much racial tension. I experienced a little bit at school, but not that much. I actually learned more about my own history as an African American and how much it affected me when I actually went to grad school at Columbia.
How so?
Well, I am my class is 72 people. Out of those 70 people, out of those 70, there are only 2 Black students, and I'm one of them. And I'm the only African American female. And I've always been around a diverse group, but I've never kind of had that absence of African Americans. And when I got to Columbia, it was I felt uncomfortable for the first time. Like, I was really uncomfortable, and I personally feel like it really affected my experience, but it allowed me to get in touch with my own history. It allowed me to crave that presence, because anytime you're in a group and you feel like if you're the only woman or the only man, the only Hispanic, anything like that, like you might feel that discomfort. And I was kind of feeling it every day. And then I did encounter some racial issues or things where I felt like people were treating me slightly different from other students, because oftentimes I was the only Black person in a room. And so that really bothered me, but at the same time, it kind of empowered me in a way to kind of go out on a limb and do what I wanted to do when I was in the program. And it also allowed me to get in touch with my own history. So that was, I'm actually kind of grateful for it. Yeah.
Very deep. I like to end these on the reverse. You get to ask me a question. Okay.
What's your dream?
Man, you're like the second person to ask me that, and I don't have a good answer. I like to do creative stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter if it's photography, video, editing, writing. Like, I just kind of do it all. Like, I don't have a particular goal. Like, I've tried to do A, I've tried to do B, nothing is particularly stable. Like, I'm getting into this 360 thing now. Like, that's kind of like where I'm headed right now, but it's a hard market to find a way in. But I just kind of one day would like to win an award and just kind of give a middle finger to a bunch of people told me I couldn't do it either.
I hear you. So, I like that. I think I must say, when we sat down, I actually feel like you have a knack for the interview thing. It's really cool. I like this vibe. Like, it's very easy to talk to you, and I feel very comfortable. So I think just keep going. I think you got it.
All right, and that is another episode of Conversation with Strangers.
Thank you.